how difficult then is it to get a consensus within the brothers about the vision?
It's not too difficult because we have similar backgrounds with music and similar tastes, and so I think it's actually easier. We obviously have disagreements from time to time, but you do get a very honest opinion from, like, I get a very honest opinion from Michael because we're brothers.
And then maybe also you can tolerate more from him as well, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a shorter fuse as far as you put up with less from a sibling than you would from someone outside of your family, but then at least we circumnavigate that. I don't have to sort of tiptoe around and say, like, I don't like this. I can be very direct about that, and if I offend him, I know that he'll get over it, and we can still maintain our relationship because we're family.
Well, at the point of signing, how many did you have a lot of songs ready at that point when?
We had a lot of songs, and I think that we only had shown we hadn't put out any other songs, but we'd only shown labels 4 or 5 songs at that point because I don't see a lot of sense in putting out showing anyone a song that you're not happy with, because if and there's a lot of people in the industry will say, look, just send me a demo, I'm used to hearing demos, which is true, they are used to hearing demos, but if the artist doesn't know how the song is going to end up, say it's at a certain point and the artist wants it to be here, and sometimes, like, I don't even know how it's going to get there or exactly where it's going to go, then how could someone else know that as well? So we didn't want to give out all our music when it wasn't finished. We had a lot of songs, though, that we were working on.
Well, you mentioned slightly the song writing process where you start with an idea. It's not the way it always goes, but do you have a certain vision beforehand and then work towards a goal? Or?
Yeah, well, sometimes you do and sometimes you don't. Sometimes it becomes clear what you want to do, and that you might have a chord progression, and in the case of Symptoms, I remember I had the chords for that, and a melody came into my head as I was playing these chords that I'd had for like a day or two, and basically running around and going, okay, this is what the drums need to be, this is what the bass is, this is what the keys are, and sort of almost just saying, hey, do this, and it was really clear on how I wanted that song to be. And the other songs are just a complete stab in the dark, where you have a starting point and you're inspired by it, but you don't know where it's going to take you. And sometimes it takes you somewhere great, and sometimes it takes you to somewhere that's a dead end and you're not happy with it. So.
Can you give me an example of one of those dead ends?
Oh, the songs that you would never hear, but but what you can do often is you find a dead end and you back up. Like, you might get a song to a point where the music is sounding great, but the melody, for instance, is not satisfying you. It just doesn't feel right, and so you can go and try again, or with anything that you're doing with music. That's the great thing. Sometimes music can just be, it's knowing what's wrong. There might be just one thing that's wrong, and if you take that out or change it, everything falls into place, which is fascinating and frustrating, because it's finding what that is can sometimes take a long time.
Well, is that something you do a lot, just to tinker with the little things?
Absolutely, and it can be a slight change in the way you play a part, a guitar part or a keyboard part, or it can be a slight change in the sound of that part as well, because sometimes the music is right, but the synthesizer tone is wrong. It's too soft, it's too hard, whatever it is. It's not percussive enough, and finding that's where the production side comes into it, where the music is there, but it's not being delivered exactly the way it possibly should be.
Okay. Well, how do you get them to the point that it should be? Well, is it just trial and error? Or?
Well, it is. Sometimes it's trial and error, and sometimes in the back of your mind there's a sound that you heard on a record, or you tried on a different song that you remember, and so you go and find that, and you can either dial it up on your guitar or your keyboard or whatever, and find it, and then it falls into place. But it's when it's right. There's a feeling that, okay, this is satisfying everything for me right now. This is how it should be. Otherwise, if I find that there's just something that kind of grates every time I listen to a track we're working on, then I know that something's wrong, and you've got to kind of work it out. Like, what is it? Is it the whole song? Does the whole thing need to be thrown away, or is there just something slightly wrong? Like, you know, is the drum beat just slightly off, or the sound of the drums? So it's just a feeling about, you know, whether it's right or not.
And is this the same process that you go through when writing lyrics?
Yes, it's all about your gut feeling in the end, because that's really all you've got to go with. So is it feeling right? And because you can write any set of lyrics. I mean, we could sit down now and write in 5 minutes. You can have a set of lyrics, but there's something intangible about it that when it fits with the melody and the music in the right way, then it feels great and it feels right, and that's when it should be released to the world. Not just 10 random songs that were the first songs to come along.